Hello, I'm Alex Harris, and this is an overview of the Adadot platform. So, we're going to start with this dashboard view. What you might notice here is that we have three pillars of data. We have work, we have collaboration, and we have well-being. Now, these numbers might not look familiar to anybody seeing this for the first time, but there's a good reason why we have them. First and foremost, you'll see, I'm going to show you in a bit, there's a lot of detail that hides between all of these different kind of data sets. And oftentimes, what you want to be able to see is how directionally, how better we are one day after the other, but also the interplay in between those three factors. Because, for example, if you're working 24/7, obviously your well-being is not going to be as good, and you're not going to have enough time to collaborate. So let's take work as an example and take you through some of the detail that exists behind that number. So the data here comes from GitLab and GitHub, as well as Jira, and in the near future, Notion. So as far as the sprints breakdown here is, you can see information around, for example, have we rescoped in the middle of the sprint? How are we spending our time and effort? Are we investing in building new features? Are we, having bugs? How are we actually investing into our engineering? As far as tickets assigned as well, you can see if they're equally distributed within the team, or people have basically an uneven burden of tickets. Tickets are stuck. You can all see all of these things here. There's a lot of data around commits. You have data around deployments, which you can actually configure so that there's a level of customization that the platform can afford you, as well as pipelines as well, just making sure that you can see things like execution time, overall duration. And these charts are created automatically to fit exactly your process. Now, you can see where bottlenecks exist, in progress, under review, approval to merge, and you can also look at the health of your essentially review process. The important thing to note is that this version is for the individual. There's also one for the team as well, so you can actually click here and look at that data for at the team level. The individual cannot be monitored by the manager and micromanaged. And what that means from an information architecture point of view is that the individual has access to their own data, the manager has access to the aggregate team data. Now, the other thing that we do here is, because obviously you can see there's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of little detail that sits under, collaboration, for example, things like, are we communicating publicly? Are we sharing our knowledge into public channels? In well-being, you can look at things, for example, like focus time. Are we setting that focus time in the calendar? Are we keeping it? Is our attention, really fragmented? Do we have a lot of content switching? So there's a lot of data that sits here. But going back to the kind of original insights view, how do we know what's making the most impact? And this is where the recommendations come into play. So here you can see basically the system will create recommendations per developer and per team, what will help them get faster, get better, give them a bit of a justification here as to why this is important, but also help them set their missions, which is, a type of goal you can set on the platform. There's three different levels of difficulty. And once you do that, they're super, super easy to track. You also have another broader collection of those goals, so those missions. So for example, if as a team you always want to make sure that you're merging, with approval, you can kind of pop that here, and you'll be able to set it. Same thing for developers at the individual level. They can set their own goals, and they can basically drive their own kind of career and their own development path in a way. When these missions are completed, you can win those badges, and you can play that little game in that way. Now, finally, there's a really interesting new feature that we are releasing. It's called lead time, and that helps teams to understand what are the best ways to become faster, to essentially decrease their lead time. And this might not have to do with, for example, purely coding aspects. It might have to do with things like, for example, are we spending too much time in meetings? Is our review time or our review pickup time helping us, or is that holding us back? And if you click generate model, this creates a completely personalized model for each team. So this is unique in the market right now, and it's basically run by a causal AI model, which was first published in 2022. So a very, very recent kind of scientific evolution in this field. And with this, I'm going to stop. If you have any questions, feel free to message us.